Fibroids. Today we're talking about fibroids. If you have fibroids or you don't, and you want to understand why they're happening, what you can do about it, I want you to listen to this conversation today. I am Robin-Nutritionist, and I have with me LaShanna, who has been in the wellness and health industry for more than 15 years, and she does global wellness research, and she has some really important information to share about fibroids. So this video again is for you if you have fibroids, if you don't, and both of us speak to women over 40. So make sure that you are here, and if this resonates with you, please leave us a comment, ask us questions, and share with other women. So, and I want to say that LaShanna went to the University of Houston, and she's also a graduate of the Trinity School of Natural Health. Thank you so much, LaShanna, for being here
My
to just
pleasure.
really have
Thank
this conversation. I
you, Robin, for
do
having.
not know a lot about fibroids
Yeah.
other than vitamin D helps with that. But I wanted to have this conversation because a lot of women that I speak to are dealing with it. And let's talk about it. So let's just
Yeah,
start with, what are fibroids?
absolutely. And thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me as a guest and a trusting voice on this podcast. So, ladies, let's dive into it. Fibroids are clinically defined as non-cancerous tumors, and they
Okay.
grow within the muscle wall of the uterus.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
just simple as that. And
Yeah.
then why? I guess, and there may be a lot of
Yeah,
reasons.
yeah, that's a big question. It's a big cry. It's a big frustration for women who have fibroids or who have fibroids that run dominant in their family is why? Why does this happen? There really is not one concise, definite answer as to why fibroids grow. But fibroids can be genetic. They can be as a result of diet and lifestyle. Moreover, though, it can be a major result of hormones because fibroids feed on hormones. And so that's one reason why Black women have a higher rate of having fibroids because of estrogen, and we can go into this conversation, but because of estrogen and estradiol and how it works in our body.
So then are you saying it fibroids feed off of estrogen? So
Yeah.
the more or less, well, I guess it feeds off of it, so it needs
Yeah,
it to
the
grow.
more estrogen a woman tends to have in her body,
Mm-hmm.
the more those fibroids can grow. It's just like fertilizer for them. And
Mm.
because Black women carry a lot of visceral fat, we also carry a lot of estrogen, and you can
Mm-hmm.
see that in the makeup of our bodies. It's a beautiful and a wonderful thing, but it makes our health needs more significant because of our biochemistry makeup, because of our anatomy, our physiology. And so because we tend to have more estrogen, particularly estradiol,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, we tend to be the dominant
With that.
race of women, yeah, that have a
Uh,
higher risk.
and I've known, I know a lot of Black women, but I also know
Yeah.
non-Black women that do have it, but
Oh
most
yeah, for sure.
Black.
For sure.
How do you know if you have fibroids? What are the symptoms or the signs?
Yeah. Well, let me say that each woman is going to have a different experience. There are general symptoms like painful periods, heavy blood flow, painful sex, lower back pain, frequent urination. Those are some symptoms for fibroids, but you're not really going to know in terms of diagnosis unless you get an ultrasound. You have an ultrasound with your gynecologist or with your physician and talk with them about what you've been experiencing. So I always encourage women to journal it, however you journal, whether it's
Mhm.
writing it, whether it's an app, or whether it's an audio form of journaling. Write these things down. Write down what's happening in your body, because many times we will underestimate symptoms or what our body's feeling, because we're so complex. And in
We
the
are.
midst of our complexity, we are multi-managing a lot of things.
We
So we
are.
can tend to neglect some symptoms that really do need to be addressed. Yeah.
You mentioned because some of the symptoms, like frequent urination, that's also a
Mhm.
sign of perimenopause and menopause. Or
Right. Absolutely.
the bleeding, I know, but heavy bleeding is definitely an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the
Mm-hmm.
back pains, there's things that are like, are they fibroids or is it perimenopause?
Yeah, though a lot of those symptoms can overlap. And I will say that perimenopause can exacerbate fibroids because
Fibroid.
this is another phase or rite of passage in our lives where our hormones are going through a shift, a fluctuation, a change, all of them at once. Your testosterone, your progesterone, your estrogen, estradiol, all of these hormones are going through their own change. Your brain and neurochemicals are going through their change. And
Mhm.
if you already have fibroids, existing fibroids, you will find that your periods in perimenopause are affected by that.
Mm. So
So,
since they're non-cancerous,
mhm.
can we just leave them there or should we, I mean, when do we have to mess with them, I guess?
Yeah, a
Yeah.
doctor will say in general, if they're not bothering you, you don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
I would advocate for investigation
Mm-hmm.
simply because if you're not given a lot of education or instructions on holistic care. When I say holistic, I mean just total care of your body, your
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle, your behaviors, understanding environment, then those fibroids can grow unbeknownst to you. You don't have any clue of what's happening until you go back to the doctor, or maybe there is a symptom that you've acquired along the way. So a doctor will typically say, if it's very small and if it's not bothering you, don't worry about it. But I will encourage, because that was told to me. I think my first fibroid was detected in my late 30s, and my doctor said it was not even the size of the top of a needle, and not
Oh.
to worry about it. But if I had known then what I know now, I would have definitely investigated it. I would have researched. Of course, now modern day,
Mm-hmm.
women are taking more control, researching and getting answers. But that fibroid grew, Robin, and
Oh.
multiplied. So I tell women all the time, I'll say I'm practitioner and patient because I understand it. We're all women, regardless of the work
Yeah.
that we do. And I would definitely not just settle for knowing that you have a fibroid. There are too many different possibilities, not to
Okay.
scare anyone, because that's not
Yeah.
what this is about. Of course,
Right.
knowledge is power, but yeah, there are too many possibilities with fibroids and their behaviors.
Okay,
uh,
well, tell us about, I guess, the possibilities and behavior. So this is kind of a multi-question. What can
mhm.
happen? And then what are some of the things that we should do or could do for
Yeah.
them not to grow, for to keep them at bay? What to tell us.
Yeah. So I always like to encourage women to know where their fibroids are. And for the most part, when you've had an ultrasound or transvaginal ultrasound, your doctor will walk you through where they're located. But I will, again, for empowerment and advocacy, I
Mhm.
would tell women to know where they are, know what fibroid you have, because there are different types of fibroids, and then ask your physician what their recommended protocols are. Now, I always like to see women have a complete health team. So you've got your allopathic team, you've got your doctor, your physician, your pharmacist, and then you've got your holistic or your naturopathic. So you've got your acupuncturist, nutritionist, or dietitian, naturopathic doctor, holistic health practitioner like myself. Have a full, well-rounded team. And I would also encourage you to work with both of them in synchronicity. Don't hide one hand, you know, um, over the other. They need to both know what's happening, especially if you are on a medication, if you have a
Mm,
pre-existing condition or anything like that. So with a health team, with your health team, once you know where your fibroids are, intramural, submucosal, subserosal, how many you have, number two, and the
mm,
size of them, then that determines your approach on care, alternative for procedures, how you want
mm.
to live your life, what decisions you want to make reproductively.
Okay.
And when I say reproductive, that doesn't necessarily mean children, unless that is a desire of yours. That's a matter of what you're wanting to do with your reproductive parts, your uterus, your ovaries, and things like that. That knowing the basic information about your fibroids better helps determine how you want to navigate your journey.
Okay.
And it will also determine what alternatives and what care is a possibility of help, and which ones are going to be more effective over others.
I like what you said about a team. And so
Mhm.
those that are listening, because what I'm finding is, and I have a team because I'm like, yeah, I need my traditional doctor with
Yeah,
insurance, but I also
yeah,
have integrative and naturopath. Yeah, because
yeah,
they do different things.
yeah. Their
And
approach will be
with you and
different.
yes,
Yeah.
and you really do need that. And I don't think a lot of people do that. I think having this conversation is opening up the
Mm-hmm.
awareness, because really what I'm finding is people or women will say, well, I have insurance, so I'm just gonna use this. And I'm like,
Mm.
that have insurance, please use
Yeah,
your doctor, but they're only gonna go so far
yeah.
based on what they can do. And that may be a detriment to you because you
Right,
just
in the
want to
long
use
run. Yeah.
yeah.
Women will do what, and I'll say, in that's, oh goodness, in this country, in the United States, based on, that's another, that can be another hindrance,
Mm-hmm.
um, with women, and how
Mm-hmm.
they approach care is determining the accessibility of healthcare. One of the things that we do in Holistically Well is we've partnered with nurse practitioners that have access to labs and ordering medication, or putting lab orders in, or referrals that are more cost effective. You can pay out of your pocket. And when I say out of your pocket, Robin, I'm talking $20 to $50,
Wow.
to make sure that we're able to provide health equity for everybody. And
Okay.
you can have, when you have a diagnosis like fibroids, you don't want to just sit on that, and you don't want to feel helpless or powerless because you're not able to go to the doctor and get the care. Alternative health can be costly as well. And I try to keep
Yeah.
these things in perspective, because I've worked with the disenfranchised, as well as, all the way up to the upper middle class person. And that's going to make all the difference.
Different. You're
Yeah.
giving me ideas, and I want to go back to the fibers, but I wanted to say this. So, are you saying that for maybe women who don't necessarily have the resources, there are ways that they can still tap into some of the things that they need? Is that what you're saying? If they
For
have,
sure. Yeah,
oh,
it's all about, we provide them with the information, because there's no benefit in gatekeeping information. You
yeah,
provide them with the information, and then they have to determine what their accessibility is,
yeah,
where they are geographically, what they have access to, how much of the resources that we provide is within their power to go and get, or to go and do, or to go and schedule, and
okay,
what resources just are not within their financial wheelhouse right now.
got it.
But to
That's a
empower, there's
mhm.
there's always something that you can give women.
I love it. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll have a conversation about that too, because I,
yeah, it's
again,
important.
and those that are listening, we're gonna come back to fibroids in a second, but
Yeah,
it's like the money thing, right? So
yeah,
there's people, it's like the haves
always.
and have nots. If you have money, then you have access to these things.
Yeah,
If you don't, then you don't. And that is, you're right, with the health equity.
yeah,
I would love to have that
yeah.
conversation. I wrote that down. Let me come back to the fibroids because I don't want to get off on a tangent,
For
but
sure, for
what
sure.
are the with the fibroids, and I understand everybody's body's different, they behave differently, and all of those things. What are some of the lifestyle things
Yeah.
women can do and should do
Mm-hmm.
for fibroids? What are
Well,
some of the things?
sure. So knowing that fibroids feed off of hormones,
Mm-hmm.
I think it is important for women to pay attention to their diet.
Okay.
I will not say that any of these things are all inclusive or exclusive for every woman. But what
Okay.
is necessary if we are looking at food as medicine and food as
Right.
fuel and food as a great transport to perform many functions for us, as well as enjoying it, because I don't think we should bypass that either. We want to consider the sugars. I'll say for sure, sugary foods, extra sugar, how much sugar you are consuming on a regular basis. A sugar is a compound that will add to the crave of a fibroid
Ah.
in conjunction with those hormones. Hormones
Mm.
love sugar. Um, I don't teach against processed foods because, again, I'm working with disenfranchised people. I have
Okay.
people that are grocery shopping at the corner store, and I don't think that canned goods get the respect that they deserve because they still carry nutrients. I think just like the good old days, we still need to have canned goods in our pantry if we should need them. Listen, if you can buy fresh vegetables, then that would be the next suggestion. Great fresh vegetables. If you have to get them frozen, I want to empower all people,
People. I
um,
love it.
all women who may have fibroids. Vegetables are necessary because of all of the nutrients and the antioxidants that they carry, helping
Okay.
with the generation of those cells. So when you hear the word antioxidant, that means that word simply means that it strives to keep cells alive, to keep them in
Mm.
health, to keep them in generating form. Um, and so if your vegetables are fresh, great.
Mm-hmm.
If your vegetables are frozen, fine. If you're
Mm-hmm.
getting vegetables from canned goods, okay. If you're able to watch the sodium intake, especially if that's a concern of yours,
Mm-hmm.
then that's something that you can empower yourself to do is selection of canned goods. But overall diet, making sure that you understand how protein works in your body, and that's
Mm-hmm.
not animal against plant.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we're not a monolith.
Yeah.
Every season is going to require something different, so you've got to
Mm-hmm.
know how your body best transports certain kind of foods. What is my
Can you
bioavailability for
can
that?
so is can diet and lifestyle shrink fibroids or make them go away, or is that
Honestly, there's not enough conclusive evidence and data
okay?
that
Got
will
it.
tell us that um, that your diet will absolutely dissolve your fibroids.
Okay.
Now, what it can do is definitely reduce or eliminate the PMS.
Okay.
It,
Uh-huh.
mhm. It
Okay.
can eliminate, when you're getting when you're feeling cramps, and you talked about vitamin D earlier, iron, vitamin D, magnesium,
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
sure that you have these regularly in your diet.
Diet.
If your
Absolutely.
body is already if your body is already metabolizing and absorbing these nutrients, then when
Mm-hmm.
the period comes, you possibly don't have to have as heavy of a period or
Uh-huh.
harsh as a series of cramps that you would. Magnesium, vitamin D, iron,
Yeah.
those three I would say are very essential.
I know, and you and I, we can talk along a lot. What I want to summarize and say this, so now we understand what they are, and they feed on estrogen, and then lifestyle can make the experience better.
Yeah.
But then there's some women opt for a hysterectomy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that a last resort? Is that what are your thoughts about that? I don't even know if you
Yeah.
have any. What are your thoughts about going to that? To yeah.
You know, I used to say when I first started doing this work 14 years ago, I was absolutely against hysterectomies, anti-hysterectomy, and for good reason. It was really because of the history of how Black women were treated back in the 1800s, how we were already an experiment, you know,
Mm-hmm.
as slaves, and then also just as we grew in modern medicine, the hysterectomy did not evolve. You know, the
Mm-hmm.
option of choices didn't seem to evolve with modern medicine. Also because the history of hysterectomies being a profitable scale
Mm-hmm.
for the
Mm-hmm.
medical industry. So
Yeah.
I was very vigilant against hysterectomies. What I will say is it really does have to be a woman's choice. My responsibility as a practitioner is to give all of the information, all of the access, all of the possibilities, walk with her, support her while she's going through this journey, and then ultimately what decision she makes, give all of the information according to that decision. If you are completely over it, because I think that we do not recognize that this is a distressing experience,
Yeah. Yeah.
mentally, emotionally, physically exhausting. If you're at
Correct.
a point, this is what I say about hysterectomy. If you're at a point in your life
Mm-hmm.
where your reproductive health is no longer about reproducing
Mm-hmm.
children, bearing children, or having more children, then the
Mm-hmm.
hysterectomy may be an option for you. I don't
Okay.
say that hysterectomy is a magic pill. There's still protocol that you want to know, you know, post surgery. You want to know about how to care for your body after a hysterectomy. You want the understanding that after a hysterectomy, that's a major shift in hormones, that your body's going to push you right on into menopause or really
Okay.
post menopause. So there's a lot of care and information regarding that. That's what I say about hysterectomy. You just need,
Okay.
as long as you got a full scope.
Go. And I
Yeah.
think, LaShanna, sometimes what I'm realizing, and then tell me if you agree or disagree, is that when a woman is like, people have biases, maybe
Mhm,
providers based on what they provide.
mhm,
So
mhm.
if you're going to someone that has a stake in one thing or another, they may be pushing you toward that. What
Yeah,
I love and I hear you saying is being able to be a resource for women and just saying, I'm putting it all on the table. This is
yeah,
your options. Here are
right.
why. I love that because then
Yeah,
they,
nothing to gain, nothing to lose. Your pain is not
yes,
my profit.
yes,
Our pain should never be a profit.
yes.
You
Oh my
know,
goodness, you tapped on something. Oh my, if I had a bell, I would ring it because that's
right.
that's actually what it is. If you're
Yeah,
going to someone, I'm just saying this to say that does hysterectomy is and ask them if you should have one, they might
yeah,
say yes.
right.
So it just, I like the way. So let me ask you this. Can a person come to you to have a consultation to just talk through, or what did you tell us more about what you
Absolutely.
offer
Yeah.
and how you do that? Uh-huh.
Absolutely. Thank you, Robin, for that.
Yes.
So, Holistically Well Center has evolved into being more of a research and clinical study business now, organization, women's health advocate. But we still do telehealth. We still provide appointments for women to call in,
Mm.
either by phone or our virtual clinic, and talk about what's going on with them. We work with women in hormone health, reproductive health, perimenopause, menopause, fibroids, um, all of those ailments and disorders that fall under reproductive health and hormone health. We work with women with those challenges, and we want to be a sounding board. We want to
Sound board.
provide you, just like we're doing here on this podcast
Mhm.
episode, is just a great example of how your telehealth appointment would be.
Let's go. And so I'm going to make sure that you all are listening in the down bar, the description, that you have the access to LaShanna and
Mhm.
in her center. And so what I'm hearing you say is
Yeah.
if someone wants they just need just to have a conversation to say, this is what
Yeah.
I'm dealing with someone that is non-biased, and just give them the information,
Right.
then they can consult with you. Do
Yeah.
you take insurance? Is it cash pay? Because I know people want to know that. Or
For
is that,
sure.
uh-huh.
We offer, we do accept Flex, and we accept HSA. If you have
Okay.
an employer, it is out of pocket. Our
Okay.
nurse practitioners are able to do even more with insurance. So that's a great benefit that we have been able to add to the services. So
Okay.
let's say you pay out of pocket, or you pay with your Flex or your HSA for your telehealth appointment.
Mhm.
If myself or the nurse practitioner foresee that you need extended help and you want that through Holistically Well, then
Mhm.
we're able to bring the insurance component in for what is needed for
Got
you.
it.
Yeah,
I
so that
love
you're
it.
not
I didn't even.
constantly paying out of pocket for everything.
Perfect. This
Yeah.
actually, just by talking to you, it just opened. I mean, I was taking
Mm,
notes. So those that
yeah.
were looking, I wasn't zoning out. I was writing things down because, yeah, I think what sometimes we need is just an expert that
Yeah.
doesn't have a bias
Yeah. Yeah.
toward what we're getting. Going back to the fibroids, I I didn't know this. I'm gonna read a little bit of my notes. So one of my specialty is talking about vitamin D,
Mhm.
and I learn something new all the time. And I did not know this, so I'm saying this now, is that, and support research shows, this is what I'm finding,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
that when a woman's vitamin D levels are low,
Yeah.
then she's more at risk for developing fibroids. That's what I'm under
Mhm.
hearing. And what I know is that Black people, Black women, we are
Yeah.
more vitamin D deficient because of our
Right.
skin and a whole bunch of other reasons. So I'm putting
Yeah.
a plug in there, y'all. If y'all are listening, make sure you go get your necessary nutrition vitamin D, because why not? It's like,
Yeah.
I always tell people, vitamin D, it's like, it's not expensive. it's,
And
it's
you can't lose either way getting it.
yeah,
There's so many benefits
so many,
to
like,
vitamin D.
beyond. I mean, I
You
knew
can't
all
lose
the
with it.
other benefits, but I'm like, and fibroids too. And supposedly, and again, I'm quoting the research that, I mean, that, and I can't say I know this firsthand, but that vitamin D interferes with the growth cells and fibroids. That's so it's
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. That is true about vitamin D, that it can halt the growth
Oh,
of fibroids. Yeah, it
yeah.
has a deficiency of vitamin D has been linked to fibroids. So there are some things, there's a when we talk about fibroids, there are a lot of different layers of consideration. You've got genetic, predisposition.
Hmm.
You've got lifestyle, you've got vitamin mineral deficiencies. There are a lot of different areas to consider. Hormone health, and even that hormone health can be linked to what kind of hereditary traits
Mm.
you have as well. So when we really break it down in layers, and I think that's the empowering part about it
Hmm.
too for women, is when we break it down in layers and we see all of these different factors and variables, then we can just, go through every
Yeah.
area, every checkpoint, and say, okay, now let me look at food. Let me look at vitamin. When it comes to the nutrition part, let me look at food,
Right.
look at vitamins. Let me look at minerals. Am I getting all of that in food? Majority of the time, we're not. So
Correct.
then, just like your necessary nutrition,
Yeah.
we get it in supplementation. And
Correct.
based on the level of deficiency, also determines the dosing for how much we need.
To do. So as we wrap up, we could, like I said,
Yeah.
there's so many things to talk about. I was really writing down some notes. I had ideas. Any parting words for those? And I want you to say how they can get in touch with you, even though I'm going to put it in the
Yeah.
description. Can you say how to reach you, and any last minute parting words before we go?
Absolutely. Again, thank you for having me a part of your podcast. I'll make it very simple, ladies. You can email us at Holistically Well Center, and it's holistic with a W, Holistically Well Center at Gmail. Or you can simply go to our Instagram platform, which is Holistically Well Center as well. And all of the links in the bio will be made available to you. You can find the YouTube channel. You can find the link to schedule your telehealth appointment. You can find our blog, all of that. So Holistically Well Center is the name that to look for.
And I'll also make sure that I put all of that in the description so that
Yes.
they know that it's spelled right. And yeah, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for doing that. And those that are listening, make sure that you put a comment down.
Mhm.
My goal is to bring you information that will help you move forward with your health and wellness. And I do new topics 3 times a week. And at least once a month, I bring on an expert based on these topics, and there's no shortage of topics. So stay near, make sure that you like, subscribe, all of the things, and let us know what you want to hear and we want to know about, because that's how I also know what to bring you all. We're just here to be of a service to you. And I'm here just to do what I'm called to do. And I'm sure, LaShanna, you are being called and you are walking in
Absolutely.
your purpose. So with that being said, I'm also going to put the link down below so that you can get your necessary nutrition vitamin D, because why not? So powerful in so many ways, as well as your necessary
Absolutely.
magnesium. We have that as well. And I think that is it for today. And I want to say, eat well, think well, and be well. Until we meet again, this is Robin, Necessary Nutrition, and I'm here with LaShanna from Holistically Well Center. And we'll talk to you soon, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.